demonstrating and selling. And he did the demonstration for me and fell in love with them, even though I teased him and said, I could take a mini vacation for what this is costing me. But here we are, how many years later, probably going on 15 or so, and still use them all the time.
Wow. What does your son do now?
He's a principal for K through 4 in Columbus, Ohio.
Cool. Did he get to
Yeah.
keep Cutco when he stopped selling it, or did he have to give them back?
You know what? I think he got his own to keep.
Mm-hmm.
Then just family and friends all purchased.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, he exploited all the family.
Yeah. Was Tim one of those family or friend persons that
No,
bought from him?
Tim's just a golf buddy of mine that I met golfing last year.
Gotcha. So he got it separately. That's cool. Nice.
Correct.
Well, I'm glad that he connected us today, and happy to help with the sharpening that y'all needed. So you probably read this in the email, and so I'm just going to review it really quickly here to start. We're going to do a
Okay.
3-stage process today. During stage 1, I'll review the inspection that we did on your knives. There are actually 4 kinds of damages that can happen to Cutco, and it is helpful for somebody using Cutco like yourselves to know what to look out for when you're using them. And so I'll
Okay.
teach you what those 4 common damages are. I'll also go over some knife care advice on how to keep the knife sharp the longest, and just touch on the warranty. The great thing about Cutco's warranty is that if you ever do experience a damage, then they'll fix or replace them for free. You just pay shipping and handling, and they send them back to you new or like new. And so it's pretty phenomenal. I'll also
How long
do,
have they been in business?
since
Cutco.
1949, it's a 72-year-old American company. Yeah.
Yeah. I've never heard anything bad about Cutco.
Yep, they're great. They make great products, and they have great people and
Yes.
great programs too. And so I'll be updating you on some of those products and programs in stage 2. As you read in the email, there is no purchase required, as you probably heard on the phone as well, but we don't say no to orders. And so if you see something that would be helpful for you, Sue, I know, I wouldn't stop you, especially since we happen to be in a big sales contest right now to earn a trip to Australia. And
Ooh.
so if you see $10,000 worth of stuff that you want and just want to knock my contest out, I promise not to to slow you down. I'll definitely egg you on the whole way.
Only if you could bring us with you.
Yeah, I know. I
Good
could
luck, though.
write
Wow.
write a
You have
write a
lifetime.
petition to Cutco. These nice customers want to come along with the cat too.
Yeah, he's
And so
curious.
yeah, yep, the keyboard kittens, they're pretty common during these appointments. And then during stage 3, a lot of people, when they know, when they own Cutco, like they remember who else was it that also purchased Cutco, and those people might benefit from this pickup service. And so you can make referrals if you're comfortable with it, and they would go through the same experience that you did. The scheduling department would give them a courtesy call, and they can sign up or not. It's up to them. And
Mhm.
so I'll ask you for that at the end, and then if you're open to continuing to spread the word online, like Tim did, then I can show you how to post as well. We've got some
Okay.
incentive programs for people that are open to spreading the word that I can explain in stage 3. So jumping right into stage 1 here, there
Mhm.
are 4 common damages that you want to keep an eye out for. If any of these happen, Cutco will likely replace the knife, and sometimes they fix them, but either way, it's totally free. You just pay shipping and handling. You want to keep an eye out for broken tips. You also want to keep an eye out for broken tangs. The tang is the part of the knife that runs through the handle. As you can see here, if this metal ever snaps, it won't be safe to use the knife.
Mm.
Okay. We also, ask that you keep an eye out for melted handles. One of my clients that I met with last week, she forgot her knife on a pan and it melted a little bit. I also met a client a couple of years ago who forgot her knife in a potato and baked it. And so that was pretty bad. Good news is that both scenarios resulted in a free replacement. And so if either a minor or major melt happens to you, please let us know so we can point you in the right direction to get it fixed or replaced. We also run into a lot of clients who have teeth on their double D-edge knives. The teeth are supposed to be, pretty defined, and sometimes
Mm.
they're not. And you can see the age progression of a Cutco knife on the screen. On the left, the middle picture, that's a brand new knife. On the
Mm.
right, that knife is right about 50%. The
Okay.
third picture shows the knife that's at 90% worn out.
Oh.
And once it gets beyond 50%, there aren't enough teeth left for us to sharpen. And so that would be, we consider it a damaged knife at that point. And we recommend that it be returned so that it can be totally refurbished or
Okay.
replaced. And so whenever we got your box in the other day, we did an inspection and we sharpened everything, and we took notes while we inspected and while we sharpened. And here are the notes. It's separated into two separate charts. You'll notice that the first line is just an example for the note taker, so you can ignore that first line. So basically, on the right, we list all the knives that we feel pretty confident that we sharpened and passed our standards test. By the way, we use a standards test where we cut leather after we sharpen, just to make sure that we're not just thinking that they're sharp, right?
Mhm.
And so the French chef, the paring knife, the bread slicer, and the sandwich slicer were all able to pass the sharpness test after we sharpened them. Okay. Now the petite carver and the trimmer, however, did not pass, and that is because they did have the edge issue where those points, those teeth on the double D edge are beyond the 50% mark.
Oh,
And so they didn't actually catch on the sharpener, which is why they weren't cutting the leather. And so the ones on the right,
Which ones were those?
so you have two different size utility knives. One's about 5 inches. It's about the same length as the spreader. And
Yep,
one is slightly longer. Those are the
Yep.
two that are bad.
okay. Not this.
so was the 5-incher?
Right. Yeah, both of those. I'm gonna actually switch you to my camera here just so that you can, these are not your knives, but they're identical. They're mine. And so your set are these 7 tools here. And then the 2 utility knives are the ones that we could not get sharp. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
the two serrated.
Well, they're not serrated anymore, but yeah.
Okay. So
That's what
those
I'm
we would
saying.
have to return to Cutco.
Exactly. So in the factory in upstate New York, Western New York, they have a big machine where they can actually grind those double D serrations back onto the knife and turn your
Okay.
knife into a like new knife. If they're not satisfied with the repair process, then they will replace your knife free of charge. And so, you know, the fixing, the replacing is totally free. It's, you know, you just have to decide if you'd like to send them, and if so, how you would like to have them sent. Your first option is that you send them yourself. We can deliver them back when we drop off your sharpened knives. You would just go to the UPS store and send them to Western New York, you know, box them up. Make sure you tell the guy at the UPS store you want to insure them for about $100 per knife.
Okay.
And then Cutco would bill you for the return shipping back to you.
Okay.
Some customers, what was that?
I was just going to ask if you would put that address in with our knives when you return them.
I can email it to you. That's the best
Oh,
bet if that's the route you
better
wanted to
yet.
go. Yeah.
Okay.
Some customers don't want to be without, some customers don't want to be, dealing with it. And so my company has a service where we do it for you as well. We charge $28 plus tax to take care of that for customers. We use some of that 28 for shipping there, some of it to pay your shipping back to you, some of it to make sure the box is insured, and some of it
Mm,
to, pay my staff to run the quick errand for you.
sure.
And so if you didn't want to deal with it, we could do it too. But it's up to you. Those are your 2 routes. So
Okay.
would you like to do it, or would you like us to take care of it for you?
For $28.
Yes.
You know what?
28 plus tax.
Take care of it for us.
Okay, so I can do that for you. Do you happen to have a debit or credit card nearby, Sue or Bob, for the 28
I'll get mine.
plus tax? Cool. Take your time. So, what did you all retire from? If you are retired, I assume based on your golfing day that you are.
I was in the new home construction business and land development, and my sweetie here was in
Finance.
finance accounts payable for a plastics company.
Gotcha. That's cool. Huh.
And we both used to live out in North Royalton, Broadview Heights area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we have a small fishing boat. And so upon retiring, we planned and downsized, sold our home out in Broadview, and moved out here to Lorraine. I'm 2 minutes from my marina, so we can
Hey,
go
that's
down, take a
awesome.
look at the lake, and get out there and start catching walleye as soon as the lake's nice enough.
Nice, cool. I'll have to show you the Cutco fillet knife. It's pretty awesome.
I've seen them.
Have you?
Actually,
Yeah.
I think I have one.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. All
I
right, go
forgot to
ahead when
see
you're
the
ready.
Update.
So April 24th is the absolute latest that you'll receive those 3 knives back from, or 2 knives, sorry, back from New
Okay.
York.
Oh, good.
And so they say 2 to 4 weeks, so it gives us some cushion. So if you don't get a box from New York by then, call me and I can look into it, but you should.
Okay, thank
And
you.
then my staff is going to send you an email on when your delivery date is for your sharpened knives. That's going to be within 7 to 10 days or less, as you already knew. Now,
Okay.
one thing that I wanted to mention was when it comes to scissors, scissors are the one tool that we are not able to sharpen here. And
Okay.
so we looked at the handles and there weren't any damages, but I always like to bring it up if somebody decides to have us send really any products back. If you have felt that your scissors are sharp and they're good, then we can just bring them back to you. If you'd like to have them sharpened, though, we can include them in your send back package and it won't cost you, more or less.
Up to you. I think they work fine, don't you?
Yeah, I think, for as little use as we,
Yeah. You could return them with our knives.
Absolutely. That's what we'll do. Cool. So do you guys cook still or
Yes.
yes,
In
but
fact,
you
that
don't use the
tray of
scissors
knife
as
I
much?
use every day.
Oh,
I
the one
miss
that's
them.
going back?
Yes.
We could
That's my
tell.
favorite knife.
Yeah, yeah, we
she
could
likes, she
tell.
likes the 5-incher. I like the longer one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. His and hers.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to give you some care tips on how to keep these bad boys sharp the longest, since you
Okay.
do cook and you use them. It does help when you use them the right way because it'll help you keep them, sharp longer.
Sure.
Number one is pair in the air. And so most people already know that, paring knives are designed to peel the skin off of fruits and vegetables. But I do have a handful of clients that I talk to every once in a while that don't realize that paring knives are only designed to be used in the air. Once you know, it's actually easy to remember because it rhymes, pair in the air. And so when you're peeling, taking the skin off of fruits and veggies, if you're cutting the top off of a strawberry or cutting up bananas for cereal, Cutco does not recommend using a paring knife for slicing on the cutting board.
Hmm.
And so keep in mind when you use that paring knife to cut towards your thumb and you'll keep it sharp much longer. The
Mhm.
second tip is to engage all the teeth. And so you have several knives in your set that have the Cutco double D edge. A lot of times we do inspections where we'll notice that the knives are more dull in the front, like those first four teeth that come off of the tip, than they are in the
Mhm.
back, the ones that are closer to the handle. And this is usually because we tend to feel naturally that we get a better leverage when we angle the knife down and we slice with just the first four teeth. And
Mm.
so, while this works because it's Cutco, it is wearing the knife unevenly. And so, what I teach clients that helps is if you keep the knife parallel to the board, slicing all the way forward and all the way backward, you'll actually cut through your food easier, but you'll
Mm.
also notice the knife will wear evenly and stay sharp longer.
Okay.
The third tip is to use the chef knife on veggies only. Do you know which one in your set is the chef knife?
Not really.
That's okay. Not everybody has the names memorized. That's why I asked. And so the chef knife is the triangular one right here. Okay.
Oh, okay.
And so this should be your go-to tool for peppers and onions. You always watch the chefs on the Food Network chopping up things with the knife shaped like that. And so
Okay.
Cutco does not recommend using a chef knife on any kind of meat or anything with a thick rind like a watermelon or a tough squash.
Oh, I
And
didn't know
this
that.
is because the edge is so thin, it will wear out more quickly that way. You won't ruin the knife. You'll
Mm.
just notice that you will need to sharpen it a lot more often because it won't stay sharp long because it's not the intended purpose. The fourth
Right.
tip is to avoid any incredibly hard cutting surfaces. We don't recommend cutting on anything harder than steel, like the surfaces that you see listed there. I've also noticed that if you use like the really, really thin cutting boards, it's good to avoid those as well. They're almost as thin as placemats. They roll up. You might know the ones I'm talking about. And
Right.
as convenient as they are so thin, they don't actually protect or provide cushion to protect the cutting edge from the countertop itself.
Okay.
And
Actually, we
so
use the Cutco cutting board.
wonderful. Yeah, great. The one that came with your set. Awesome.
Exactly.
Does it have a handle in it? And
Exactly.
yep, good old trusted Cutco board. Cool. And then I'll skip number 5 because you don't have our table knives or our steak knives, right?
No,
No. Are you steak eaters?
not really.
Gotcha. Is that why you didn't get them?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Cool. Cool. Well, is that something that you would like to have?
Not
Mm.
really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Most
I mean,
people
barbecue
we have,
here.
stuff, but
we have a, off-brand set of steak knives through gifts that we received that work just good enough for the amount of times we eat beef.
Sure.
right.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Cutco has a table knife and a steak knife. And we have a lot of customers that, they're weaning away from red meat. They don't really do that, but once a month. And so it doesn't make sense to have steak knives. So, as you're potentially thinking about what your next thing on the list might be, these table knives are like sharp butter knives. They're phenomenal because they
Hmm.
spread and they cut. So we've all tried to cut, roasted broccoli or a Brussels sprout or a grape tomato or a piece of chicken with an actual butter knife because we don't need to bring out a steak knife, but the butter knife just doesn't cut it. And
Mhm.
and so this is a really helpful in between to where it's Cutco. So you just push down on it, it'll cut your rolls in half. You can spread it's pretty phenomenal. So
Hmm.
just something that I wanted to show you really quickly. Steak
Sure.
knives always have rivets, just like the ones that you got as gifts, right? And they always have the full tang where the blade goes all the way through. Table knives don't. They're just like sharp butter knives. And so
Hmm.
something to think about. And those are available as a part of an upgrade program that I can share with you towards the next stage, which is a really cool way for you to get
Okay.
those in a discounted way. So what was your number one takeaway there? What did you learn during the four knife care tips?
The pair in the air,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was bumping her knee because
For you,
he tends to use it to cut everything and anything with it.
Well, and the big knife, what did you call it? The
the
chef
chef
knife?
knife. Uh-huh.
I always use that on watermelon. So
Mm,
that was
mm.
wrong.
Gotcha. Like I said, you're not going to ruin it, but it's not the best tool for that job. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that you got some value from that. Now,
absolutely.
Which one is the best one to use to cut a melon?
so you don't have the melon knife in your set, so that might be
I
something to
figured.
consider. But the large utility knife, the one that you said is your favorite, Bob, is the one that's going to be your best bet from what you already
Okay.
own. Yeah.
Okay.
hmm with the forever guarantee, so this is like the reason that people buy Cutco and why you've had so much great experience using your Cutco, because if anything ever goes wrong, they'll fix or replace them for free. You can use the warranty on your own, so you don't have to work directly with me, but you do have a benefit when you do, because a lot of customers don't want to be without their knives for 2 to 4 weeks unless they absolutely have to. And so most people call me every 2 to 3 years and they say, hey, let's link up, sharpen what you can, send back what you can't. And we are happy to help with that, my staff and I. And so I'll make sure you have my digital card before we disconnect today. So that way you can reach me as needed, and happy to help. Now, there's also a money back guarantee, which is, a good feature. There's another feature that isn't listed called the Easy Pay program. It's no secret Cutco is not a cheap product. However, the company does allow us to give you a special package pricing during your sharpening appointment. And so you are able to pick out things that you love today, and you don't have to pay for them in full if you don't want to. Using the Easy Pay program, there's an option where you can put 20% down just to try them out for a month. When you love them, it's just 4 more payments over 4 more months with no interest at all. If for any reason during the first 30 days, maybe you're not using them like you thought, potentially an unfortunate event happens where you can't swing the payment anymore, there's always something that sometimes comes up. You can send them back for either an exchange or a total refund or a partial refund, and they'll adjust or cancel your other 4 payments and refund your down payment accordingly. And so it's a great way for you to date your Cutco before you marry it. And if you decide to marry it, it does match up with your cash flow.
Okay.
And the company always has and always will stand behind the products 100%. Now, before I move on to stage two, that actually wraps up stage one. Would it be all right if I shared a few points from my background and also my top two goals for this year?
Sure.
Great. So